Those tasked with planning for the city of Oakdale are helping to achieve tremendous growth. And we are going to talk about some big projects in the works on this edition of Oakdale Update. Hello everyone, I'm your host Frank Orsello. There is so much development happening in Oakdale right now, I'm not sure we'll have time to get to it all, but we're going to try. Of course, it takes solid people to make growth possible. Oakdale's Community Development Director is here with me today to talk about upcoming projects. Bob Streetar, welcome to Oakdale Update.
Welcome, Frank. Nice to see you.
You bet. Okay, so first of all, let's start out. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background and that sort of thing.
Well, I've been with the City of Oakdale almost 14 years as the Director of Community Development, and we're responsible for planning, economic development, housing, in the environment, and redevelopment.
Okay, so that was my next question. What exactly does a Community Development Director do? Give me some more details on that.
So one of our primary responsibilities is to implement the city's comprehensive plan. And that's a document that's prepared by the council with input from the community. And it identifies goals and policies in 8 major areas: land use, transportation, housing, the environment, water, sewer. So we help the council develop that document. We run the community engagement process where we talk to key stakeholders. The document becomes adopted by the council, and then my role and the staff that I work with are responsible for implementing those policies to achieve those goals. That's one of the primary things we do.
Okay, so so developers come to you and say, you know, I'd like to build such and such in Oakdale, and then you work with them to try and make it happen. Is that correct?
Right. We talk with the developers almost every day. They ask about vacant parcels or land for development, and when they prepare a development concept, we handle the permitting process. So we review land use, density, circulation, setbacks, those kinds of things, and then that staff report goes to the Planning Commission and on to the City Council. It's the City Council that grants the final approval, and then the developer has their entitlements, and away they go, and development happens.
So is there a fee that the developer has to pay because of the work that the city is doing? I mean, that takes time and energy.
Yep. There are planning permits. They range anywhere from $250 to $500. It certainly doesn't cover all the costs, but it's not meant to. But then there's engineering that's done, and there's building inspections that are done. So it's a kind of a 3-department operation. There's planning, engineering, and building, and the developer works with all 3 of those departments.
Mm-hmm. And do most of the get-togethers come to fruition? Generally, does it work out usually?
Yeah. Normally when a developer comes to the city with a development concept, we'll look at to the comprehensive plan and the zoning and any small area plans the city's developed, and determine if it's in substantial conformity. If it is, we move them through the permitting process. If it isn't, we try to work with them to bring it into conformity. But sometimes, very infrequently, the developer's vision and the city's vision are really unaligned, and so the project won't move forward.
Really? Mm-hmm. So you've had some setbacks on that, huh?
Yeah, not too many. I think maybe 2 or 3 in 14 years.
Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about some of the stuff that has happened in 2020. That was a big year too, wasn't it? A lot of things going on there. So let's talk about Park Tools up on 50th Street.
Yeah, I'm going to refer to my notes here. Park Tool. Park Tool, just a few years ago, moved from, Matamidi?
Yes.
And they built a large facility, their headquarters in Oakdale. And I think it was about 45,000 square feet right across from the North Fire Station. And just recently, they did an addition of almost 20,000 square feet. So that's a good indication that they're doing well.
Huge. And I see there's now hiring signs out on their front yard all the time.
Yep.
So they must be, I mean, everybody's hurting for hires right now, but they must be hurting pretty good, or working pretty good.
Yeah, I think when they came to Oakdale, I thought they said they're the largest bike tool manufacturer in the world.
In the world.
Yeah, and they're in Oakdale.
Yes, I know that. I heard that. I mean, I've had a friend of mine that is a biker, and he said there's no other tools that I would ever buy except Park tools.
Right.
And it's done, and they have tools for every bike in the world.
Oh, yeah.
You know, no matter who makes them.
Yeah, they're
So-
good at what they do.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And that started out in somebody's backyard, in their garage. Did you know that?
In St. Paul, wasn't it?
Yes, it
Yep.
was. Yes, in somebody's garage. Okay, then we had AutoZone built a new building, huh?
Yes, out, is it Oakdale Station?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was about a almost 8,000 square foot auto parts store on 2.5 acres or 2.25 acres between the Speedway and Pins. So that area, Oakdale Marketplace, Oakdale Station, has kind of languished over the last 10 or 15 years, but it's starting to come back, and we think with Willowbrook, which is just north of there across County 14, will be a good catalyst to see additional development there.
Okay, and plus the four front.
Yes,
That's a
forefront, yep.
We'll get into that too.
Okay.
Okay, so then, then we know that the school districts are building and redoing and rebuilding a lot of schools, and one of them is Eaglebrook and Castle schools. Those are the two big ones.
Yes.
And my understanding is Castle especially, it's because of Willowbrook, because of the development going in Willowbrook, right?
Yes. I think this fall the school district went through a study where they were looking at school district boundaries, and I know that I provided a lot of information on household growth and makeup, so they can make a decision where to draw those boundaries.
Is Eagle Point going to be involved in that at all, do you know?
I think so. I think it was.
So some of the kids are going to go there and some to...
You know, I didn't. I just provided the information. I don't know how they determined.
Okay,
but
all right. Well, okay, so big stuff is going on
Yep.
down that end of town too. But anyway, so the other thing is the Tartan School is going to be...
High school.
Yeah, that's going to be redone, but that needed it so bad.
Yeah,
That
there's.
thing was just a mess.
Yeah, Castle, Eagle Point, and Tartan High School. A lot of activity there.
Yes, absolutely. Other than the Willowbrook complex, are we getting new people coming into Oakdale, or so is this a good thing for these people to be redoing the schools and all that? I mean,
Yeah, between Willowbrook, which we'll talk about in a second, is going to add probably about 3,400 to 3,500 new residents, and Helmo Station will add around 2,800. So you're looking at 6,000 to 7,000 new people.
Sure.
And we've got, say, 30,000 now, so it'll be a little less than a third in between now and probably 2030. So there's going to be significant growth.
Yep, there is. Okay, so the other thing, Peaceful Lodge expansion down on Hudson Road there. That
Yep.
Okay, what did that turn into? It was wasn't that a motel?
Yeah, it was the American or the American
Yeah.
Hotel. It was purchased and converted to a assisted living facility, and they just did an addition with 33 new living units and 14 memory care units and 19 assisted living units.
And that is sponsored by Bethesda, or
No, that's not sure what the company was. It's just Peaceful Lodge.
I knew what it was.
But
It was
Yep.
one of the Presbyterian homes, maybe.
I don't think that's
No.
no.
Anyway, well,
Yep.
one of them
Yep.
sponsoring that. Okay, so and then the other thing is, the piece. Let's see, the church. Where is it? Look, the church that's going in on Stillwater Road,
Yeah.
behind the lube factory.
Behind Lube Tech,
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, they haven't submitted a formal application, but I know they've been over there for over a year looking at that space, working with their architect, trying to make it work and fit.
Okay, so bike and pedestrian paths. Now, are you adding to them, or what are you doing on that?
So the city has a bike and pedestrian plan. The last time that was looked at was 1995. So in the city's new comprehensive plan, one of the things the city council wanted to do was update that. So there are really no bike lanes or bike paths in Oakdale specifically. I mean, you can ride on the
So
trails.
you call it the Greenway Trail? Doesn't it count?
Yeah, that's part of the goal line project, but this is going to look at the entire city,
Oh,
and it'll
okay.
incorporate that. So
Okay.
between now and the spring of next year, the city's going to look at all its pedestrian facilities to determine where they go, are they connected in the right places, and are they safe? It's going to do the same thing with bike lanes and bike trails. You know, it's one thing to create space on a road for a bike, but it's another thing to make it comfortable and safe. And that's what we're going to be focusing on. And then that will provide a policy foundation for the city council. They can implement that over 2, 5, or 10 years.
So is a bike trail and a walking path, that's different things, is that correct?
They
you
can't-
you can't use a bike on a walking path?
Yeah, they can be the same thing. They just have to be wider. So they maybe have to be 10 or 12 feet rather than 6 feet.
So, if I may critique one time, the road in front of Sam's Club in Maplewood, they got a bike path there. That is the busiest street in the whole United States, and they've got a bike path there. I've never seen a bike on it. I think it's about this wide. I'd be scared to death if I was a bike rider. I got to be poor planning on that one. Are you familiar with that one at all?
I've seen it. Yeah, I'm not really sure what they're trying to do there. I don't know.
They put a bike path in, and I think it's only a block or two long. So
Yeah.
I think that was a major mistake. But
Okay.
it's not our community.
Different, yeah, it's Maplewood, Frank.
Let them worry about it. Okay, so the Gold Bus Rapid Transit.
Right.
Okay, that's got to be, that's a big deal.
Yeah, so the goal line's going to run from St. Paul to Maplewood to Oakdale to Woodbury. It's 11 miles. I think it's 10 stations, 10 stops. We have 2 in Oakdale, one at Greenway Avenue and Hudson, and one at Helmo and 4th Street. And each of those stops will have development around that. So you'll have a combination of housing, commercial, retail, maybe some commercial office. Most of that's going to happen at Helmo Station because that's really the larger area.
Okay,
Greenway's
which
the
one is
smaller.
Helmo Station now? That's on the,
So do you remember the Oaks Business Park?
yes.
Okay, it's just west of Crossroads.
Oh.
Excuse me, east of Crossroads. Okay.
Oh, up in, right, so be north of 94?
Yes.
In that area?
Yeah, so what'll happen is there's about 45 acres, and there's planned to be around 1,000, up to 1,000 units of housing, probably a couple 100,000 square feet of commercial office, commercial retail, some industrial office, all in an area that is connected with sidewalks, trails, and its purpose is to provide ridership for the bus rapid transit. And there's going to be a stop there, and then as you come down 4th Street, you're going east, and it's going to curve to the south, and then there'll be a new bridge into Woodbury. And that new bridge will accommodate cars, a bus-only lane for the BRT, and then trails for pedestrians and bikers. So it's going to be a brand new bridge.
Wow. And that's going to go over 94, correct?
Yep, it'll connect to Bielenberg, and then that goes into Woodbury down to their theater
And
center.
that's going to end up by the movie theater?
Yes, it'll stop right there.
And there's going to be a bus station there?
Yes.
Is that correct? And then a parking spot? Too?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, on all these bus stations, the maps I've seen, and they're preliminary, I'm sure, but I don't see parking spots. And I guess I'm going back to off of 4th Street in that area there. If someone's going to take the bus, they got to park someplace to drive to the spot and take a bus. I don't see a lot of parking spots available.
At Helmo Station, there's a park and ride. I think it's about 125 stalls, and it's just adjacent to 94 and to the west side of the bridge. It hasn't been constructed, but you know where the 7500 building is? It's a single-story building that's got a variety of users in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's going to be removed, and that's where the park and ride will be.
Oh.
And so I think it's about 125 stalls. In addition, in the new roads in the area, there'll be on-street parking. So if people,
Okay.
you know, but the people who ride the BRT are largely going to be the people who live there. And remember, there's going to probably be 2,500 to 3,000 new people in that area.
In what, houses or high-rises, or what's going in there?
Yeah, it'll be townhomes, multifamily.
Where are they going? Where exactly are they going?
Well, there's a plan, Frank, that sort of lays it out there's 9 different parcels, and each parcel has certain types of development on it. There'll be a 2-acre park that'll be in the center that'll anchor everything, so folks have a place to recreate. There'll be a natural area that people can walk in and through, but it won't be an active park. It'll be more natural.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so all the buildings that you're putting in, do you have to take over land, confiscate land? What's the word I'm looking for?
Condemn?
Condemn land or anything?
Nope. No, we're not going. The city's not buying land, and we're not condemning land. This is all between the city and the private landowner. Because remember, the Oaks Business Park that I think was put into service in 2004 was to have 750 or 700,000 square feet of industrial office. Well, that never came to fruition. The owner said, it's a concept, it didn't work. We only got about 200,000. So they worked with the city to develop this plan, and they're cooperating because their concept didn't come to fruition. This concept will. In fact, we have 2 developments there now. Well, one is Bethesda Lutheran Communities. It's called the Cornerstone Project, 71 units. It's some workforce housing, and then there's, I think, 18 units for adult children that have Asperger's. They can live independently.
Wow.
They just need a little support.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, about 2 years ago, there were a group of parents that came to City Hall that live in the area, and they're late 60s, 70s, and they're saying, we got our children who are in their late 20s, early 30s, and they live with us now, but we want to make sure if in the future we're not here, that they have a place that's stable that they can live. So Bethesda Lutheran Communities, this is what they do. So then we said, hey, why not take a look at Helmo Station? And so they worked a deal with the private landowner there, and then the city provided some financial support because to make the rents affordable for folks who are living there. So, and that will start construction in the spring of next year, and it'll probably take a year to build.
Okay, which one is that again now?
The name of the project's Cornerstone.
Cornerstone, yes.
But the company's name is Bethesda Lutheran Communities.
Is that like a Bethesda Hospital, that kind of, those people?
I don't think so, Frank. No.
Just okay, just a different one, huh? Okay, the Greenway Station, now, that one, where is that?
Okay, the Greenway Station, if you take Greenway Avenue from 10th Street, where
Yes.
Tartan is?
That go in front of Tartan, yes.
Take Greenway all the way down to Hudson.
Yes?
That's where it tees, and then you hit 94. It's
Yes.
right there. That's where the station. So that station, the purpose of that station is to serve certain parts of Oakdale, but also
The bus is going through
Yep,
past that, right?
yep.
Is that on the frontage road the bus
Yes.
will be going?
Yes.
And then, then it gets up to the Apostolic Bible Institute and
ABI.
then goes straight through, or what,
Nope.
does it go around?
It'll follow. There's going to be a new road there with a longer sweep curve, because right now you can really only go 15 miles an hour. It
Yes.
does one of these.
Yes.
Well, that's going to be swept out, and so it can handle vehicles moving at 25 or 30 miles an hour.
Yes.
And then the bus will continue north on Hadley, and it'll get up to 4th. It'll take a right, and then there's going to be a new bridge there too.
Oh,
And that bridge will have, right now it has no pedestrian access whatsoever.
right.
So there'll be autos, buses, and pedestrians. And I know when we did our community engagement, a lot of the Oakdale residents in the area are bike riders. And they said that's really difficult for them to try to get across that bridge because there's a bit of a sidewalk, but it's only 4 feet,
Sure.
and it's really not meant to walk on.
yes.
So the council, past councils, wanted to make that a priority. We let MnDOT know, we let the Gold Line Project Office know, and sure enough, they said, fine, we'll put that into the project.
Wow, that's great. Boy, that's a lot of stuff happening.
It is.
Okay, now the other, and this is a big one, is the home furniture, which you tell us about that. It's taken over the old theater.
Yeah.
And tell us about that one.
Well, the theater that was there about 2 years ago went out of service, and it wasn't viable anymore. So it wasn't COVID, it wasn't something, it wasn't a viable concept. So the owners out of Texas came to the city and they presented us with, well, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Well, home furniture is moving from their existing building, which is in Woodbury,
Yes.
just on the south side of 94.
Yes.
So they wanted to move up. So they're going to go in there and they're going to rehab the entire interior. They're going to do it in such a way that works for them. And then I'm not quite sure on the timeline, but I know they've been very busy. And it's going to be really nice.
I drive by there every once in a while, just pull in the parking lot, just watch. I see more cement trucks coming in. I mean, I assume all those slanted floors have got to go, right? Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. It's hard to believe that you can make a furniture store out of an old movie theater, but we lucked out. Oakdale lucked out so much. That building could have sat there till the cows came home.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I mean, who wants an old movie theater?
Right.
So you were so lucky that came along, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes it just creates, you've got to get the word out and you create your own luck.
And then I understand they'll close the home furniture over in Woodbury, right?
Yes, yep.
Okay, all right. Okay, so then, I know this is kind of old news, but that animal clinic up on 15th Street?
Oh, yeah, the Animal Emergency Clinic?
Yes.
Yeah, they, as I was mentioning earlier, Frank, they were used to be in the Oakdale Mall.
Yes.
And when the Oakdale Mall was acquired by the city and removed, and of course Hy-Vee went in, they went across the street and they built a new building. And they wanted to be there because they told us that when people have an animal emergency, they like to be 2 turns off the freeway. So you take one off the freeway, take a left, and there you are.
Oh, wow.
It's easy to get to. So they were there, they were successful, and then their business grew. Then they expanded at that location, and their business was more successful, and then they needed more space. So then they looked right across the street, right across the Helmo, into the large theater parking lot, which is now home. And they went, I think it was a couple acres, they bought from the company out of Texas, and they said, we'll build a new building there.
So they're going to have 2 buildings then?
Yes,
They'll keep the old building, and
Yes.
they're going to have another building?
yes.
Well, I'll tell you, I go by that place, and I can't believe how many people they have working there. I mean, assuming this is, I know it is. They're all people that work in this clinic.
Yeah.
It's a huge, successful business.
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Oh, yeah.
It's just tremendous. Okay, now Forefront, that is a big one. There's
Right.
all kinds of stuff going on that one. Forefront is the old Imation building, and so you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so Forefront Office and Technology Center was purchased by Slumberland, and they occupy part of it, but a lot of the existing buildings are occupied by other businesses unrelated to Slumberland. So they have about 65 to 70 acres left. It's 122 acres. There's about 65 to 70 that are left to be developed. So they came to the city a few months back and they said, on the west side next to the freeway, there's 25 acres, and we want to amend the zoning ordinance to allow for 300,000 square feet of office warehouse, office industrial, manufacturing, or research. And so that's what the city council did. We worked with them, and we also require them that 25% of the space would be office or occupied by people, because we wanted jobs, not just warehouses. And so they agreed to do that, and that was all approved. And they'll be submitting, or I think they've already submitted their plans for 2 concepts: one building of 300,000 square feet, or 2 buildings of 150,000 square feet. And I'm estimating they'll start, if not this fall, in the early spring.
What did you say is going to go in those properties?
Office warehouse, office industrial, manufacturing, research.
So they're going to build it and then hope the people come to them, correct?
Yeah, I think they have a lot of interest, but I think they want to get to 30 or 40% occupy, or people who are interested to occupy it, and then they'll build it. And
Does Slumberland, I know they own that property and the building, are they putting Slumberland in there? I haven't heard anything about that.
no.
They're not gonna
Slumberland
do
is
that.
just going to sell it. United Properties is the developer, and they'll handle everything.
Interesting. Okay, so now we're going to go to the Crown Jewel. No, let's see. One other one, the Reagan property on the corner of
Yes.
Hadley, where is it? Hadley
4th
and
Street.
4th.
Right across from ABI, the Apostolic Bible Institute.
Yes.
Yep. So that's the Regan property. Met with the owner of that property a few months back. They also want to construct between 200,000 and 300,000 square feet.
So that is owned by the bank, isn't it? A bank?
Well, it's owned by the people who own the bank, but it's not
Yes.
owned by a bank.
No,
Yeah.
okay, that's right.
Yep.
The Reagans. The
Yep,
Reagans
yep.
own the bank, and then
Yep.
this is a side thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. And so they want to build between 200 and 300 square feet of very similar to Forefront: office industrial, office manufacturing, office warehouse. And they've indicated they'd like to start next year, and demand is so strong they could probably have it filled in 24 months. So now you've got potentially up to 600,000 square feet, which is probably around 20% of all the commercial and industrial space in Oakdale today. So that's a lot of jobs too.
Oh, that's huge. That is so huge. Okay, so now we're running out of time here. So let's talk about the Crown Jewel. Willowbrook complex on Ideal Avenue and 40th Street, I guess we could say.
Yep. So Willowbrook, if you recall back when iMation was there, that was supposed to be the big 3M campus, that and 180 acres in Lake Elmo, so 563 acres. So back in '96, or about that time, iMation was developed, and then 200 acres north of there was split off, and that became an industrial park. And there was supposed to be a 1.8 million square feet of industrial there. Well, 20 years later, a little over 20, nothing happened. So when the broker came in to talk to the city, we said there's a lot of demand for housing and other things. Yeah. So why don't you think about changing the land use? And they said, you know, we had thought about that anyway, but this is good to know. So the council allowed the land use change to go through, did a small area plan, and then there was a developer, Maplewood Development, and they worked with the city to develop a small area plan, which will result in 1,410 housing units. So you've got Lennar, they're a national home builder. I think they're in there for 364.
Jeez.
You got Continental, that's in there for 280 units. And then you've got 766 units that could be multifamily, but there's no developer for that yet. But that's going to start probably in the next 3 weeks. And so the first phase is the southeast quadrant, and that'll be about 400 housing units. That's just one quadrant. And then there'll be a 52-acre park. So, you know, a lot of times when they do subdivisions, they build a house, and then they put the park over here. Well, this will be almost like you're living in the park.
Sure.
So we designed it in such a way that you can walk out your back door, and you see woods, you see trees, you see grass, and then there'll be a path, a pedestrian system. So if you want to get someplace, you can take the path through the prairie and the woods rather than on the street.
Oh, that's so good. So
that's going to go very fast. That'll probably take maybe 3 to 6 years to build out.
Yep. You know what? And it's so interesting that that's the last piece of virgin land in Oakdale, and it just sat there all these years. I mean, it's the Olson property.
Yep. Yeah.
Olson Farmstead. Yeah. And it's just we're fortunate again. You know, Woodbury has been fortunate all these years. All their buildings started from scratch, you know. But we've had, you know, clumps of houses here and there, and harder to work around that. But this is just one big piece of virgin territory.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say too, Frank, that between Helmo Station and Willowbrook, you're looking at about a little over $500 million in tax base. We only have about $3 billion, so it's going to be a significant portion. So there's more than enough tax base to pay for any additional services and infrastructure than's needed, and there'll be property taxes left over to do other things, to reduce taxes, to make further investments in the community, or both.
Sure. Boy, big stuff is happening in Oakdale right now. This is so
It's going to look different in 2030.
It is. It is. Well, Bob, we are out of time. I'm getting signals there from my producer that we're done.
Okay.
But I want to thank you so much. You brought us up to date on a lot of stuff. We didn't cover quite everything, but we got the big points, okay?
Yeah. Thank you, Frank. Nice to see you.
You bet. Nice seeing you. Thanks for joining us today. We leave you with a look at some fun and free summer events to fill your afternoon and evenings, provided by the city. See you next time on Oakdale Update.